I would say the most common that I see will be high stress, anxiety, test anxiety as well.
Hello, welcome once again to the Online Student Experience podcast. My name is João Malenga, and today I'm with.
Deontay Moore, I'm an LPC associate, and I'm under supervision with Alicia Granberry. She's an LPC supervisor.
Okay, this is the episode 4 of the Online Student Experience podcast. As you know, we are on YouTube and Spotify. And please, if you have some questions for our future guests, don't hesitate to write them in the comment section. So, Dante, I don't know if I'm
hmm
pronouncing well
Yeah,
your
it's okay.
name. I'm really sorry for that.
That's okay.
But you have here, for
hmm
example, some questions
Okay.
which I think are really relevant. But before we head to the questions, can you
hmm
tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a UNT alumni. So I came here for my bachelor's and undergrad in psychology, and I was actually living in Victory Hall. I was the first one in my dorm. I didn't have a roommate at the time. And then I came back for my graduate, my master's in clinical mental health. So
Wow,
yeah.
wow, wow. That's really good. I like it. Now, going back to the first questions, not going back, actually heading to the first
hmm
question, which is, what inspired you to work in student counseling?
Yeah, so I would say my college experience inspired me. So originally I was a biology major, and then I
Mm-hmm.
ended up switching to psychology around my junior year. And then I minored in counseling. So in our classes, we were required to actually go to counseling
Yeah.
for 10 sessions. And that was my first time ever doing counseling in my life. So I was extremely scared, but once I did it, I knew that that was the field that I wanted to also, provide for other students in
Wow.
college.
So
So yeah.
you are a natural provider, and
hmm
that's really good.
Thank you.
And tell me something. You are a UNT
hmm
alumni.
hmm
How did you manage to balance school and work while also maintaining your well-being?
So that was a challenge, but I definitely had a routine for myself. A big thing that they really pushed in my program and in my classes, being in counseling and mental health, was self-care. So definitely practicing self-care, whether it was eating certain things that made me feel good, um, engaging in exercising. So I knew that growing up, I love basketball. That's what worked for me. So I just kind of continued that. Um, that's the only way that I felt motivated to even like do any type of movement. So using what works for you, even just like practicing self care as far as like how you take care of yourself in the morning or throughout the day. So making sure that you surround yourself by positive people. I really started joining a lot of student orgs that really helped me feel connected to campus. So at the time, I was a president of the Native Americans Association. I joined the Active Minds, and that really helped me integrate mental health within my everyday and reminded myself to do those things. I was part of the planning committee for that. I dived into also mixed greens, which is basically surrounding myself around different cultures of people with different backgrounds, which kept me, very open-minded to different experiences and things like that. Um, Trying to think what else I had joined. Oh, I even was a part of starting an organization called Coalition of Black Counselors. So that really helped me like gain support as like a Black student on campus as well. So kind of like touching on those different areas of my identities in my life that made me feel integrated with campus, that made me feel a sense of belonging.
And you feel like connected to the university and to
Yeah.
the people who are in the university, and it makes you also somehow excel inside the university
Yeah.
because you don't feel like okay,
Right.
I'm an outsider. You feel like
Exactly.
okay, I belong to
Exactly.
this place.
And I definitely had that experience where I wasn't connected to anybody on
Wow,
campus and I was
I
very
get it.
isolated. And, that mental health went down because I felt alone and,
Yeah,
yep,
I
wasn't
heard it
focused on my
honestly.
academics. It
It happens. It
does.
happens. And moving to the next
hmm
question, which is, what are some of the most common challenges students face when it comes to maintaining their mental health while attending college?
Yeah, I would say the most common that I see will be high stress, anxiety, test anxiety as well, social anxiety, that's a big one. Relationship concerns, it seems like
Mm-hmm.
that's a big one. Whether it's like intimate relationships, friendships, family. we also like to make sure that we assess for depression symptoms. Um, let's see, hostility, look for
Mm-hmm.
that, as well as like maybe if you might have substance use concerns. Um, so yeah, those are really like the main points that we try to touch on
And
there.
you mentioned about social pressure, something like that.
Yeah.
The one thing I think is very recent because now we have the so-called social media, which
Mm,
brought
hmm.
something new on the table. Do you
For
think
sure.
like now students also having this kind of concerns when it comes to mental
Yeah.
health
Yeah, for
through
sure.
social media?
Yeah.
And what do you feel about
Hmm.
it, the social media? Because I think at this
Hmm.
point is one of, at least for me, one of the most concerning thing to
Hmm.
students when they want to, you know,
Yeah,
balance what's happening social
for sure.
media in school,
Hmm.
general.
Yeah. I think that too much of anything is not good. So, too much time on social media can really take away from,
Yeah.
being able to connect to other people on campus, or you might take in a lot of information that might be actually contributing to what your concerns are. So, if you're often comparing yourself to others on social media, that could be detrimental to your mental health. That's why I think it's really important to make sure that you do follow, like maybe creators that are advocating for mental health or advocating for self care, or watching podcasts like this where you can learn how to take care of yourself. It definitely is just good to be intentional about like who you're watching, what you're taking throughout your day, and be mindful of how long you've stayed on there.
Yeah, that's right. I agree with that. And how can students
Hmm.
manage stress effectively, especially during high pressure times
Hmm.
like exams or project
Yeah.
deadlines? I always have problem with
Right.
it though, but now I can manage it well anyway. But
Yeah.
how can student manage that?
I definitely think taking advantage of your resources on campus. So whether that is going to the learning center to learn different like study habits, connecting with other students in your classroom, talking to your professors during their office hours,
Mm,
or even just taking advantage of our services if you just need to express your emotions or your stress. We have plenty of like workshops and groups that you can just drop in and be able to get like some coping skill time, some maybe some resources that you might be needing that might be helpful for you during high stress time. We even do referrals like if it is like more severe, if you're needing more assistance with like text anxiety, possibly you might need medication to be able
mm.
to help with those different symptoms. So yeah, I would say just really being mindful of taking advantage of the resources on campus that can help with these different things.
Well, and I feel like UNT have has different resources as you mentioned,
Hmm.
and some students unfortunately they don't know how to find it, and
For
you
sure.
have mentioned some of them which
Hmm.
all UNT students can access whenever they want.
Hmm.
And what would you say to a student who feels, for
Hmm.
example, overwhelmed
Yeah.
and doesn't know where to start
Hmm.
with improving their well-being?
Yeah. I definitely would say look at how you're feeling, look at your emotions, and what you would need in that moment for that to tend to
Mm,
that emotion. Having that self awareness is a good start of knowing what to ask for and what you need to look for. So yeah, having that emotional, I guess, awareness about like say if you're feeling sad, kind of go more deep into that. Why am I feeling sad? What am I needing to make myself feel better? And it could be a lot of different things. If you don't know, that's why it's good to kind of come to someone who's professional, who can also help you explore those emotions and be able to get you the resources that you're needing. So yeah.
and do you feel like some students hesitate to, you know, to go to this kind of services that has to do with well-being
Hmm.
because somehow they don't want to feel like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't want people to know that I'm going
Yeah.
through that.
Yeah.
And what would you say to students when it comes to this kind of concern?
I would say stigma is real. Even as a counselor, sometimes I struggle with the stigma as well. We all have our different backgrounds. Some of us
Mm,
don't have that much experience with mental health support and knowing what it looks like, and it can be very scary to be able to open up to a stranger. I would recommend just starting. And if you're not comfortable with doing individual, maybe you can do it in a group setting. Or we even have a way that you can do it by yourself. So we definitely recommend like taking advantage of Together All. So Together All is a UNT platform, a mental health platform where you can sign in with your UNT login. You can connect to other UNT students on there as well. as well as there's different mental health videos or different topics that you might be that I mentioned earlier that you can also look at and do your own worksheets.
Well,
So yeah.
well, I really appreciate that.
Hmm.
And I feel like when we take good care of ourselves, we also gain a new perspective
Hmm.
of the world. And as you mentioned, you became more open when you were part of different
Hmm.
organization,
Yep,
learning different things. And I think that's really essential, mainly for us as
for
student,
sure.
because I'm still a student though.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
a lot of things that you're saying really apply to me. And
that's
as I
good.
always say, I'm gonna try to apply that
Of
also
course. Hmm.
in my personal experience.
Nice.
And heading to the next question,
Hmm.
what resources like workshop or counseling
Mm.
sessions are available for students who may need additional support?
Yeah, so we actually have a lot of workshops this semester. So
Whoa.
each semester we kind of change it up.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what to start with. So I'll start with mine actually. So I'm actually running what's called Healing in Color Art Workshop. So I offer that twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays, 2 to 3:30. Basically, I just do different art activities with students, and we use different mediums such as painting, watercolors, crayons, markers, oil pastels, magazines, collages. We do all kind of different like art activities basically. Basically, it's really good for anxiety. If you have social anxiety, that's also a good space to try to like, maybe practice talking to other people in a safe way, in a creative way. And if you don't want to talk, you don't have to. You can still just work on the activity that we're doing and still get that emotional support in a way, and expression. I'm also starting a inner child healing group. That's a closed group, so it is more. You have to go through a screening process, and it's a commitment. So you have to. It's a 9-week commitment. Anybody who's dealing with childhood trauma, that'd be a good space for you to get a resource for. We also have what's called Connected Through Music, where if music is your coping skill, that might be a good space for you to join. You can bring your songs in and talk about how that connects to your emotional well being, and listen to music as well in that space. There's a new workshop called mindfulness and meditation, I believe, that they're starting. So if you wanted to practice mindfulness, that'd be a good space to try to, get your feet wet a little bit. We also have a new one called Real Relationships. So
Mm.
anybody that wants to work on how to be healthy in relationships, whether it's intimate, family, or friendships, that'd be a good space to kind of like drop in and get some information on that. They started another new one called Socially Anxious in a Room Together. So those who may be struggling with social anxiety, that could be a good space for you to kind of like learn more about your social anxiety as well as like be in a space with other people that are also dealing with that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
And how can I would be asking this question if I was watching or listening to this podcast. How
right.
can I access all these
Right,
services?
yeah. I definitely will recommend just typing in UNT groups, workshops. It'll pop up. You can see a list of all of our workshops that we have, and as well as closed groups that we have as well. There's a lot of, it covers a lot of different concerns that you might have that you can join. And then if you want to learn to get started, you can always just call our office number. You can come in person. We are in Chestnut Hall and on the third floor. Or you can go online as well and get started and kind of book your appointment, your initial appointment, and everything, and get started with us.
What if one of our listener or viewer are there saying, "Okay, I'd like to talk to you personally,
Mm-hmm.
and how can I contact you
Mm-hmm.
personally? Like, not personally, but as a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
counselor of UNT,
Mm-hmm.
how would they? What would be the best way to contact you? Like
Mm-hmm.
via
Yeah,
email,
yeah,
a phone number, like
yeah.
as long as it is, of course, related to UNT, not your personal
No,
number."
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like my email is Deante, Deante dot more, with two O's, at UNT.edu. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me, and then I'll give you the information of how to set up your appointment online, or I'll give you our office number as well. I don't know the office number by my head, but yeah, definitely look up UNT CTS. It'll have all that information on our website. And then also, you can also look up our staff at CTS. So we all have our own bios and like things that we like to work on. So if you look through that list of the staff at CTS and find somebody who maybe matches what you're looking for, definitely you can request them. We might not be able to meet your needs just because we do have like a high demand, but we do try to make sure that everybody gets like what their requests are and everything.
That's all right. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Deante. And it was really very good to have you here today. and more importantly, talking about, well-being. Because at the end of the day, I think well-being is one of the most important, or the most important aspect of our life. Because we can study, we can work, but if we are
Yeah,
not well,
that's true.
nothing that we going to do, is going to be well as
Yeah.
well. So taking
Hmm.
care of yourself is really good.
Yeah.
And to finish, what are maybe some advice, or maybe some
Hmm.
rules that you'd like students to
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
just to finish this
Yeah.
podcast? Are
Yeah.
there anything you'd like to share? Anything else?
Yeah. I would say make sure that you continue to show up for yourself because I know a lot of us have a lot of different things that we're trying to commit to or have to get done, but you really have to show up for yourself first to be able to get those things done. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself and put yourself, first as well. That you matter also, and that those things will get done, but it won't get done if you don't take care of yourself because burnout is real and you want to prevent that to be able to get through these semesters and get through each class, and also not to be afraid to ask for help. I think that was a big part of my issue as an undergrad. Before I started getting into mental health, I was trying to take care of everything about myself, um, and that was not helpful. So when I started leaning on the community, leaning on my resources, that really helped me feel like I can do this. I'm not alone, and yeah, it's gonna be possible. So
All right. Thank you so much for
thank
coming,
you.
Deante, and thank you so much for you for watching us and listening to us. And hopefully you can join us in the next episode. This was episode 4 of the Online Student Podcast. And of course, don't forget to go mean green. Yeah.